Mugi ni mutare leu tabarĩra ya taũkĩrwo nĩrĩkĩtie gũkinya kuja leu tũnyamũ twĩ muoyo nĩũkĩte nĩ tandũ wakwe ũtaũkĩrwo makĩria ũhoro wĩgiĩ mĩrimũ therũ na ciũmbe nini itonekaga na maitho nĩcio cells and microbes na rũthiomi rwa Gĩkũyũ ũtaũkwo na njĩra nyandandũku. Nyitanagĩra na Mutaaramu Grace Gĩbũi oro mũthenya wa Saturday agĩgũtirithia kũmenya morutani maingĩ megiĩ therũ, mĩrimũ na njĩra ndikĩru, kũhoro makĩria kana kĩũria wĩna kĩo no ũtwarĩrie kũhetũkĩra kũrĩa kwa Ũgĩ Media Facebook page ona kana Facebook page ya tũnyamũ twĩ muoyo. Ndũkahatũkwo ũkothome makĩria no taũkĩrwo kũna.
Hi guys, hello, welcome to TAÚKIRWO. We are so happy to see you here today. Sorry that we are late. We are hoping that you can see us and you can hear us. Today we are going to have a mix of English and Kiswahili, and we are so privileged on this Saturday to have with us Kimani, Emmah, and Cathy K. Drum roll.
Yes, hello.
Yay.
Yes, hello, good evening. We are doing good. Tuko poa, tunashukuru na tumeweza kuingia na tuko na Cathy K hapa wasalimie.
Yeah. Karibuni sana.
Yes.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Pelekane. Team TAÚKIRWO.
Yes.
Na mbarikiwe.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yes, karibuni sana.
Yay.
So, karibu sana Grace.
Asante, I'm so happy to be here. I'm trying to see like if we have any people that can tell us kama wanaweza kutusikia, but I think we are good.
Yeah.
I think tunasikika.
Yeah,
Okay.
watatuambia pale kwa mitambo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sijui kama hii na stream kwa Uge Media Facebook, but I think they'll find us. Iko live. Okay.
Yeah, iko live zote. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we are so happy again to have you here. Sorry, tumechelewa kidogo, but
yeah,
here we are. Okay. So, today we are supposed to talk about STIs because that's one of the first things that you guys asked for. And so that is what our lesson today will be. Do you guys have anything to say? Thank you, Anne. Do you guys have anything that you want to say before we jump in?
Yes, kile tutasema hii siku ya leo huwa tunaongea kwa lugha ya Kiswahili na Kiingereza. So side yako unaongea Kiingereza na side yetu tunasaidia pia wenye wanapenda Kiswahili, ndio at least hii discussion ambayo tunadiscuss siku ya leo kila mmoja akaweze kujua kwamba ako na nafasi ya kuzungumza, ako na nafasi pia kutoa maoni yake pale. Na ningetaka pia kuwakumbusha kwamba hapa tunaongeanga kwa tunaguzilianga mambo kuhusu cells and microbes ama seli kwa njia ya Kiswahili. Najua kuna wengi ambao wamepitia haya majina kwa lugha ya Kiingereza. Kuna watu wana understand cells and microbes, so tunawaarika hapa waweze kuelewa zaidi. Na cells and microbes, kile tungetaka kuintroduce ni ya kwamba zile magonjwa ambao tunasikianga ni kama kila kiumbe ambacho kiko uhai kinakuanga na cells and microbes, na ndio kinafanya hicho kiumbe kikakuwa na uhai. So na kama kuna magonjwa yenye yanapatikana Cathy K, kumaanisha kwamba yale magonjwa kuna zile viumbe vidogo ambavyo viwezi zikaonekana na kwa macho tu, zinaonekana kupitia mtambo wa microscope na ambayo inaleta magonjwa. So ukitupata hapa ni vizuri tuwapatie nafasi tuambia kwamba watuulize maswali, na kama kuna jambo wangetaka pia kukua na ufafanuzi zaidi wanaweza tuandikia pale na tutaweza kuelewa zaidi. Pia tukiwakumbusha tena ni vizuri tuambia kwamba Monday tunakuanga na Neisseria ya Koguna za Kikuyu program, na hiyo Neisseria ya Koguna inatusaidianga sana kujua mambo ambayo tunaisikianga lakini tunatakanga confirmation. Like for example, like tomorrow tuko na ile ya immunization vaccine vaccines. Tutakuwa pale na Mutaaramu Grace, na kwa sababu kuna watu ambao wamesikia fununu, mara zingine kuna mambo zingine hawana surety. So hapa sisi tunakuja tunapeana fact, na hiyo fact inasaidia pia Mkenya mwenye ako pale, na si Mkenya tu peke yake, because hii kitu iko globally, iko Kenya, iko Afrika, iko continent zingine ambazo tunazungumza hii lugha ambayo tunaweza kuelewa. I think hapo tunaweza sema
niombe msamaha juu tulifanya mabadiliko bila kujulisha watu. this topic ya Kiswahili tuko tunakuja on Tuesday, na Kikuyu tuko tunaleta on Thursday, but na English tuko tunaleta on Saturday. Tulifanya tu mabadiliko kiasi juu ya mwezi wa December, na kuanzia sasa kuendelea tutakuwa tunafanya na tutakuwa tunaenda na hizi show venye tumezi tengeneza hivyo hizo siku, like leo ni Saturday ndio tutakuwa tunafanya Kizungu na Kiswahili. Kuna siku ya Kikuyu ni siku gani?
Siku ya Kikuyu ni Thursday.
Karibuni.
Karibuni sana. I think hapo ndio tutafanya, tungetaka kufafanua. So I think sasa tunaweza ingia kwa topic yetu ya siku ya leo, na topic yetu tunaanzishiwa na Mutaaramu Grace, na sisi pia tutaweza kuelezea mahali ataelezea kwa Kiingereza, pia tunaendelea kufafanua kwa lugha ya Kiswahili na itakuwa mzuri zaidi.
Karibu sana.
Asanteni sana. So leo tumepanga, I guess no. Okay, wow. I am okay. Okay, today what we are going to do is we have set it up in terms of, I think, 10 things. So vile tume set up is we have 10 things that we want you guys to know about STIs. And these are just 10 structural things. Mkiwa na maswali tafadhali muulize hapo kwa comments, we can add on top of them, but as we just have 10 items. Okay, so tuanze na kitu cha kwanza. Okay, so kitu cha kwanza ni STI, as the name says, are sexually transmitted infections, ama STD kama sexually transmitted diseases.
I think pia kuna hizo ni magonjwa ambayo I think kuna watu ambao wanasikiaga kwa maredio, kwa television wakisema kwamba ni magonjwa ya zina, na kama jina inavyosema zina maybe inamaanisha kuwa inahamishwa maybe kama ni kama tuseme ya kwamba hiyo jina zina ni kumaanisha kwamba ni magonjwa ambayo yanapitia yanaambukizanwa kupitia ngono, ama wakati ambapo watu wanapatana kushiriki kimapenzi na hata tuseme hivyo, hiyo ndio watu wanajua kwamba ni STIs. Na kwa sababu kuna watu wengine wanataka kujua haya maneno, waweze kutufuatilia na tutaweza kufafanua, na maybe wanaweza tuuliza kitu yote inayohusiana na STIs magonjwa, na pia kuna mambo ambayo tutayasema hapa ili watu waweze kukua na ufafanuzi zaidi.
Na usidanganywe na mtu ati ya kwamba huwezi ambukizwa STIs na kulala na mtu kwa siku moja, maambukizi yanafanyika.
Na pia ningetaka pia kuingia, I think hiyo ndio ilikuwa point ya kwanza, Mutaaramu Grace, kwa sababu kuna watu ambao wamekuwa wakitaka kujua zaidi kuhusu STIs, na hii kitu I think watu walikuwa wametuagiza sana, and that's what tumekuja tuwaambia kwamba, na maybe wanaweza, ili tuweze kuendanisha pamoja, wanaweza tuambia pia pale kwa comment section yale magonjwa ya STIs ambao wanayatambua, ili tukaweza pia kufafanuliwa zaidi na Mutaaramu Grace, ili at least tutaweza kuelewa zaidi na kuwa na ujumbe zaidi kuhusu haya magonjwa.
How do you say while we are waiting? I was trying to think what is the way to say while we are waiting, but anyway, while we are waiting for the
tukiwangoja
tukiwangoja tunaweza kuwaonyesha picha za hizi bacteria na viruses zile zinaleta hizi. Wow, I mean, I'm just gonna stop. We're gonna show the pictures of viruses and bacteria that can bring us these diseases, and so because one thing that we know, thank you, Anne. Syphilis is one of them. One of the things that you guys really like is you really like for us to show you pictures of some of these microbes, because as Kimani and Cathy have said, many of these microbes you have to use a microscope to look at. In public, that's right. Many of these organisms you have to use a microscope. So many times watu wakiongea juu ya hizi like microbes hawezi kujua vile zinakaa. So today we have some pictures. So let me add. So these are some of the microbes that cause some of these diseases. So we want to talk through them so that you guys can see what they look like. So maybe we'll just take turns. We just describe it a little bit, and so it'll just be me and Cathy and Kimani, Emmah, just going around and saying what they are. Okay, so number one, what we have is, this is a picture that's showing HIV virus, and the virus is here in red. And it is coming out of some cells, and the cells, they are shown there in blue. Sorry guys, if you see us looking at our phones, it's because we have all of our notes on our phones, so that's why we keep looking at them, because we have notes that we all look at so that we stay on track. Okay, sorry, I just wanted to tell you that. Okay, yeah, so number one is HIV, and it's coming out of cells.
Number two ni the bacteria, Treponema Pallidum, which causes the disease of syphillis. So number two ni ile ambayo inaleta hiyo ugonjwa ya syphillis, na hiyo bacteria ndio inaitwa Treponema Pallidum, na hiyo ni lugha ya Kiingereza. So unaweza enda kwa picha ya tatu.
Wait, before we go, sorry Cathy, can I say, unaona vile inakaa so interesting, because like, you know, when we think about the disease, we know it's a terrible disease, lakini ukiangalia, like, it's so unique. Does anyone here, before someone saw this, did anyone here think that this bacteria looks like this? And if you're there and you're seeing us, can you tell us, if you, when you typed syphilis, did you know this is the way that the bacteria looks like?
Watuambie. Ninaona pia kuna watu pale kwa Oge Media wanasema hawajaiona kitu kama hiyo, hata wako like amazed. So I think pia kuna watu ambao hawakutarajia inakaa hivyo.
Can it be seen? Inaonekana ama how does anyone know ati hii ni bacteria?
Oh, that's a great question. So, okay, kwanza I have two pieces kujibu swali hilo. Number one, the work of, anytime you hear someone, they tell you they are a molecular biologist, I'm a molecular scientist, hii ni kazi yao. Kazi yao ni find a way to purify na isolate easy microbes. So kama ni viruses, kama ni bacteria, kama ni nini, like that is their job, is to find a way to make it possible to see, you know? And this means the biology of purification and the chemistry of purification, and then the technology kuziona na microscope. So this one, it's made using a type of microscope called an electron microscope. And what they do is they purify this bacteria, and then they put it on in a place where the microscope is able to help you see it. So sijui kama nimejibu swali lako Cathy K.
Yeah, iko sawa. I understand.
Number
three, it's a bacteria that causes gonorrhea. Picture number 3.
Is there anyone who knew? Did anyone know that this is what the picture that causes the bacteria that causes gonorrhea inakaa hivi? So they are so interesting, even those zinaletanga magonjwa so bad, si ndio? And these pictures
ukweli, kusema ukweli, hata sisi pia wenyewe tuko tunajua hii ndio bacteria yenyewe inaletanga hiyo magonjwa. So it is
in fact hatujui, pangu sijui kama zinakuanga many types of bacteria.
Kuna kuwa na bacteria.
That means I'm sorry to disrupt, but I wanted to say kumaanisha in every bacteria iko na shape yake. Na maybe mimi ningetaka kuuliza, sijui swali itasound aje, but does it mean that vile cell iko na shape ya aina mingi, does it, okay, nataka kumaanisha kwamba vile, unajua kama ni shape venye tunaona ya number 2 si the same na number 3 na si the same na number 1, does shape matters kupitia yale magonjwa kama kupitia ile sizes? Unajua kuna venye nilisikia kwamba cells zinaleta shape ya mwili. So hii shape yenye inapatikana pale venye unaona iko na mimba hivyo, haikai kama ile ingine. So hizo what does it mean? Inamaanisha nini hizo cells zenye ziko na different sizes? Maybe naweza taka kujua kama kuna kuaga na any information about it.
So what's interesting is that they have diversity in the same way we have diversity, because like hakuna mtu anakaa kama mtu mwingine, si ndio? So in the same way hizi bacteria zinakuanga na shape na appearance tofauti. Now, does it matter? So sometimes the bacteria they have developed to live in the complicated place. So kama niko na example moja, so a few weeks ago tuliongea juu ya H. pylori na sijui kama mnakumbuka, but hiyo bacteria ya H. pylori inakuwa na kamuthingoe, right? Na kamuthingoe kana isaidia like either bit ni diramenya mundu gate na githweri arms to swim. It helps. Like the kamuthingoe helps it to swim. So then you ask yourself, where is it swimming and why does it need so much help? Then you realize that it infects in the stomach, and in the stomach there's a lot of mucus. So then, the kamuthingoe helps it to enter in the mucus, because mucus is thick. So if you are going to be a bacteria that infects the mucus, you have to be able to swim in a tough environment. So like that. Or they sometimes they will have many coats so that they can survive in harsh places. So I think kujibu swali lako, I don't know that the shape necessarily like means anything, but they adapt to where they infect you. So sometimes the shape is important, other times it's just the diversity of these bacteria. And I think maybe someone is wondering, who made these bacteria? Why are they like this? So there are so many people that are always asking, where did bacteria come from? How did they emerge? And honestly, it depends on who you ask. Some people, they will tell you they evolved over time through evolution, and then they adapted to their environment. Then kuna wengine wanasema ni Mungu aliziomba vile alituomba pia. So it is they just look different, they are just diverse. Mwaswangi, nimeelewa. So shape matters in its role. Yeah, sometimes shape matters in its role. So sometimes it's because of the role, and then sometimes it's because of the environment that the bacteria has evolved in. If it makes sense, because these bacteria, they're millions and millions of years old, and so over time they change and they adapt to their environment. So I don't know, sijui kama nimejibu swali hilo.
Yes, umerijibu vizuri, so hiyo tumeweza kuelewa. Na
napenda kuuliza swali before tutoke kwa hiyo sector.
Of course.
I can see there are more than ziko mingi around 8. So hizi vitu ziko place moja, hizi bacteria ziko place moja ama ziko all over mwili ya mtu?
So zile za leo zote zina infectingi like sexual organs ama genital organs, na that's how they are spread through sexual interaction. So za leo ni za genitals ama skin zote, lakini kuna kuanga na zingine ziko different places.
Pia kuna swali lingine pia ningetaka kuulizia watazamaji wetu, najua wako na maswali pia wanajiuliza. Unajua sometimes kuna vile ambavyo tulisikuwa tumesema hapo nyumae kwa episode ambazo tulikuwa tumefanya, na pia nimekuwa nikifuatilia zile Mutaaramu Grace amefanya pale kwa YouTube, na nikaona ya kwamba kuna zile bakteria ambazo zinakaa kwa mwili wa binadamu, na zile bakteria zingine zinakuwaga muhimu na zingine zinakuwa na effect ama zinaleta maambukizi. So ningetaka kujua ya kwamba hizi bakteria za STIs ama zile ambazo zinapatikana kwa zile vitendo vya ngono, maybe tunaweza taka kujua ya kwamba zinakuwa formed ama unajua kuna ile transmission, kuna ile maambukizi. So kumaanisha huyu tuseme victim mwenye akona tuseme for example akona gonorrhea ama akona syphillis, so that means ile bacteria yenye yeye already iko formed. So nataka kujua hapa ya kwamba iko ndani ya mtu ama inakuwa formed ama inakuwa transmitted such that tuseme kama ni mimi naweza transmitia mwingine, so that means zile bacteria zitanitoka mimi kwangu zienda kwa yule mwingine zikaformiwe, ama inakuwa pale ama zinakuwa are they active, are they ama zinakuwa tu dormant zinagojea? I don't know, maybe unaweza tuelezea pale Mutaaramu Grace, tuambia kwamba inaformiwa after yule mtu amelalanisha na yule mwingine ama inakuwa namna gani?
Inakuwa tu, because like the thing is these bacteria, all different ones, they live with us in this world, and their goal is to stay alive and to keep dividing and existing. And some biologists, they say these bacteria have been with us even before humans evolved. It, I know, is a whole different topic, but the point is that these bacteria, they live in the world, and their whole purpose is to keep living and to keep existing, and they do that in living environments. So some bacteria, they live in different places in our world. So for example, kama ni Vibrio cholera, ila inaletanga murimu wa cholera, it lives in the water, and it has developed ways to survive in the salty water specifically. Now, is as STI, they live with us, so that means they have adapted to surviving at 37 degrees because that's our body temperature. They have adapted to living in the different body places. So kama hizi za STIs, they have adapted to living in the genital area. So they know how to deal with the chemistry of the genital area, the temperature, all of these things. That's how they have adapted. So sijui kama nimeeleza vile
hivyo ndivyo nilikuwa nataka kuelewa, ndio tumeweza kuelewa, especially mimi nimeelewa, na pia watazamaji wameelewa. So kama ni ya cholera tumesikia inakuwa maji tu inakuanga huko, na sasa kama ni ya STIs inakuwa bado tu kwa sisi, ama ziko tu kwa genital. Umesema, I think nimesikia ukisema hivyo, so hapo nimeweza kuelewa.
Yeah, I mean, but they're not in everyone's genital. Like, they're in your genital if you're infected. So that's the way diseases spread. They spread from person to person to person. And then and then viruses ni tofauti kwa sababu viruses hazikuwa. Okay, so let me clarify. Bacteria zinaweza they can live by themselves. So kama example hiyo ya cholera, like you can go now. If you go into different water that is just sitting, you can take a durumeni, you can look, and you will see them there. They're there. But virus is different because virus requires a living host, because they can't live by themselves. What they do is they use the resources of the cells in order to keep dividing and keep spreading. So I need to clarify that. So bacteria zinakuanga too there. Some of them, in order to survive, they will hurt us. Others, they don't hurt us, but they're just there. Viruses, they require humans to spread and to divide and to stay.
Amazing. So I think now we are in number 4.
Hi, Paulo. Okay, so number 4, I think I don't know what I said here. This one, it causes HPV, the human papilloma. This is the human papillomavirus. And so this one, so you might look at it and you say it's really, really beautiful. And that's actually something that is common to some of these structures, is they're very, very, very beautifully organized. And so this is a virus, so that means it's not necessarily alive. So these shapes that you're seeing, they are different organizations of proteins that form its cover.
Right. I think sasa hiyo hata mimi sijaisikia, nimeisikia hapa kwa TAUKIRWO. Mimi nimekuwa nimegrow nikijua ya kwamba kuna syphillis, gonorrhea na zingine ni kusikilia kwa umbali, na sasa tumeweza sasa kuelewa zaidi. I think sijui tutaisema aje kwa lugha ya Kiswahili, lakini at least kuna picha ambayo tumeweza kuiona, na pia hii Grace, unaweza sema ya kwamba ni ugonjwa pia ni ugonjwa ya STIs, bado inaambukizwa kupitia hilo jambo la ngono.
Yeah, number 5 inaitwa, so disease inaitwa trichomonas. Sijui mtu anasemanga okay, while you guys are talking, I'll look in Google Translate and see what Google Translate inatuambia aje ya trichomonas.
Acha tuangalie kama iko nini juu sasa. Hapa lazima watu waelewe.
Kama mtu anajua tafadhali tuambie hapo kwa chat.
Yeah, watuambie hiyo, watuambie na lugha ya Kiswahili ama watuambie kama uko pale unajua hiyo nini, unaweza tuambie, unaweza tuambie kama unaijua, ndio kila kitu ikuwe sawa sawa. So I think watu wako pale Treponema. Naona mtu anaitwa Paulo anasema ni kunukwa kwa viungo vya siri.
I mean, I think hiyo ni symptom, like the smells na discharge na mambo hayo yote ni symptom. Symptom ni dalili. Mtu anasema dalili. Symptom.
Ni dalili ya, ni dalili ya.
So symptom ni kunuka, all these things na discharge and pain urinating, those things. Lakini sijui jina la I don't know what the
trichomoniasis.
Yeah, sijui na Kiswahili mtu anasema aje.
Hata mimi nimejaribu kuangalia hapo kwa Kiswahili ni kama
just go in Kiswahili.
Nimejaribu kuiangalia hapa ni kama tumeshindwa. Ni kama hata Google inasema
dalili tiba na kinga. Ni ugonjwa unaambukizwa kwa njia ya kujamiana, STD.
Hiyo ni yenye tu tumesema tu, so ina maelezo.
Sababishwa na vimelea vijulikanavyo kama Trichomonas vagina.
Inasema tu I think inasema tu the same thing. Ni sexually transmitted inaletwa STIs.
Ya zinaa na husababishwa na maambukizi ya protozoa.
Inasema sasa inaleta hiyo trichomoniasis. So watu watuambie
what is another name? Anauliza another name. Trich.
Sasa trich nayo ni ngumu. Unajua tunataka kujaribu kwa inaitwa trich na sasa hatujui ni gani. So I think hiyo tunaisema baadaye, tutakuja kwa comment section maybe kuna kwa sababu tumeiacha pale, kuna mtu atakuja kutupa usaidizi kama ako na ufafanuzi zaidi wa hilo jambo. Na pia ningetaka I think pia tuko na sijui Grace kama tunaweza enda namba hiyo ingine tukigoja watu watuambie ya trichomoniasis. I think tuko namba 6.
So number 6, I think it was you guys' turn on
the virus that causes herpes called herpes simple virus.
Herpes, ni ile ya herpes. And
so
now you see,
sorry.
If you look at, so this one is actually a picture of the herpes viruses themselves. So number 4 ni mtu alichora, so mtu aliona and then akachora, right? Lakini number 6 ni pictures za hizo viruses like themselves. Kama number 2.
So are they the same, number 4 and number 6, or are they similar?
No, they're different. Number 4 ni ya HPV, ile ya Human Pappilomavirus. Lakini number 6 ni herpes. Na sijui herpes inasemangwa aje na Kiswahili. Somebody can tell us if there's someone that knows.
Watu watuambie hiyo ni gani? Watu watatuambia ndio tuweze kuelewa pale. Ni vizuri tusaidiane sisi wote at least tuweze kuelezea hii jambo ili kila mtu akaweze kuijua.
The Swahili term for herpes is maambukizi ya virusi vya herpesi. It's the same but it's herpesi.
Lakini so it can be herpesi ama Google Translate mtatuambia kama this is correct. Google Translate inatuambia malengelenge. Ndio malengelenge kweli? I don't know.
Hata hiyo malengelenge.
Malengelenge.
Matumbo ya kijinsia.
Unasema
hapa.
How to say herpes in Swahili?
Matumbo ya kijinsia wanasema ni hiyo, lakini hatujui. Anaona pia kuna mtu anatuambia ni kugoneka. Anasema kugonjeka hiyo. Kugonjeka hiyo
Lakini hiyo si Kikuyu.
Watu najua na Kiswahili, tunataka na Kiswahili at least ili tuweze kulini. Paulo tuambie kama hiyo maneno ni gani. Lakini tunaenda tukielewa tu. I think ile Kiswahili inakuanga ngumu. Sometimes unapata watu wanajua kwa lugha ya Kiswahili ya Kiingereza hata kuelezea. So simple term yenye itafanya yule mtu akaweza kuelewa zaidi, inakuwa ni kama kuna ungumu zaidi, lakini vizuri kama kuna mtu mwenye akona ufafanuzi zaidi mwenye atapitia pale kwa YouTube ya Treponema pale kwa Oge Media Facebook na Treponema Facebook page pia mnaweza tusaidia. Baadaye tukipata kuna watu wanapitia pale na wataweza kuelewa vyema. So ningetaka tuende pia kwa kitu inaitwa number 7, a public louse. Public louse nayo ni gani hii? Pubic. No. Pubic louse. Hiyo ni gani?
Lice ni mtu anasemanga aje lice?
Lice unajua moshere?
Ni zile tunyamuturia tunini tukoragwo juirini.
Gokoma kunguni.
Kama kunguni, maybe kunguni.
Zinaitangwa aje?
Za nywele.
Ni kama zile zinaitagwo nini?
Nisio todo kigiria kunguni ni bed bugs. Na ti bed bug tureda kwaria uhoro wa lice.
Ni zinaitwa jina Kiswahili.
Lice si ndizo hizo kunguni?
No.
Kunguni ni bed bug. I think
bugs.
Sido zinaitwa the same thing.
No, there is rice.
Huko kwa Google Translate inasema chawa.
Yes, ni chawa. Na sasa hizi chawa ni vizuri, unajua kuna kuna ni bacteria hizo zinakosa hiyo bacteria. Hizo si bacteria, si hiyo ni insect. Zile zinapatikana
small insect.
So kumaanisha kwamba kama vile ambavyo kama kuna zile insects zinapatikana obvious. Kama kuna vidundu vinapatikana katika maybe kulikuwa na kitu kama kidonda ama kuna kitu ilifanyika pale, zile vidudu zikatokea. So that means ile ugonjwa lazima ikuwe ama zile vidudu lazima vitokee kwa sababu kuna maybe alijeruhiwa ama kuna majeruhi pale. Kwa hiyo harakati ya corrupting juu ziwezi tokea bure, lazima kulikuwa kuna kitu iliendelea pale ama kuna watu ambao wanaweza pata ukipata infection, tuseme umekaria choo, vitu kama hizo zote zinaweza jipata ya kwamba zile vitu zinatokea. Sijui kama Grace hapo utasema aje kupitia hiyo ya insect hiyo
boyo wa isi kana these pubic lice zinaleta na mtu mwingine, because that's how they are transferred from person to person. So hizi zote ni from person to person. Na kama haujatibiwa, you just keep spreading them.
So I think ile kitu itafanya watu basi, hata kama hatutaongelelea kuhusu kuangalia, ni vizuri kuangalia kushare vitu ambazo tuseme kama ni bathing towel, vitu kama hizo. When you share itakuletea hizo vidudu. So ni vizuri watu wauzie, kama ni hata kushare shampoo na marosho na whatever, because unajipaka maybe unaweza jipata ya kwamba umeambukizwa hizo, ama unaweza hama kutoka kwa mtu huyu na hadi mwingine. So I think hapo iko sawa kabisa. So I think tuko pale kwa number 8. The bacteria which causes chlamydia.
Chlamydia. Okay, let's see what Google Translate tells us for Kiswahili. Mtu anasema chlamydia.
Chlamydia pia inasemekana ni chlamydia tu.
Okay. Yeah, so this is the bacteria.
Google inasema ni hivyo.
That's right.
Chlamydia.
Yep, so that's it. So I hope that you guys have seen that these are some of the microbes that can cause these particular diseases. Because tunakumbuka that when we first started this project, many people walituliza, we want to see. So today we decided we are going to show you. These are some of the bacteria, some of the viruses, some of the pests, the parasites
Yes.
that can cause some of these
Yeah.
STIs. So next
Yeah.
time, if someone tells you that an STI is not real, you
Uh-huh.
can maybe come and show them this picture
Yes.
and you talk about it, and that is, I think, a useful resource.
Yeah.
Mnaonaje?
Iko sawa
Iko
kabisa,
sawa
tumeelewa
kabisa.
sana, tumeona picha, hata sisi tuko tunajua picha zenye ziko we excited. At least sasa tunaelewa ni nini tunaongelelea kuihusu.
Explanation iko
Explanation
very
iko
loud and clear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Iko sawa kabisa. So I think at least sasa tumeweza kuelezea, tumeweza kuuzia all the bacteria and viruses, ama pia parasite kama hiyo tumeona hiyo nini. Watu wameweza kujua hizo ndizo yale magonjwa ama ile maambukizi yanapatikananga pale na STIs ama STDs ndio kila kitu kiko pale. So I think sasa not unless kila mtu ako pale na swali anaweza tuuliza pale swali lolote na utaweza kujibiwa pale. So sijui kama tutaenda number 3.
Yeah, I think now we go to number 3 because remember tuliwaambia tuko na a list of 10 things. So kitu tatu tunataka watu wajue ni symptoms. And I think we touched on this because somebody said kunuka, like remember there's someone who said kunuka. So that's one of the symptoms. That's one of the many symptoms. So some of the other symptoms are itching, discharge, or painful urination, or fever. Those are some of the things. So if you're itching, or you have discharge that's abnormal, or smells that are abnormal, that indicates that there might be something that needs to be checked.
Yes, na pia ningetaka pia naona kwa lugha ya Kiswahili kuna watu ambao wanasema ya kwamba unapata mtu anawashawashwa kwenye viungo vyake vya siri na pia anatoa uchafu zaidi, na kuna pia watu ambao wanakuwa na vidonda ambazo zinapatikana mahali pale, na pia mtu ambapo ama ukijipata ya kwamba unakojoa na unapata ya kwamba kuna maumivu wakati ambapo unaenda haja dogo, unapata ya kwamba yale magonjwa ni one of the symptoms. Pia kuna homa, unapata ya kwamba kuna homa ambayo uko nayo, so na si kusema ni homa zote, so ni hizo symptoms zote ambazo tumeguza ni one of the symptoms ama zile baadhi ya dalili ambazo zinajulikana kupitia magonjwa haya ya STI ama hizi magonjwa ya zinaa. So ningetaka pia hiyo watu waweze kunote pale, na pia kama unaelewa hiyo unatuandikia pale kwa comment section, tunajua kwamba tuko pamoja zaidi.
Yes.
So I think pale sorry,
I was just going to say thing number 4, but you can go.
Iko sawa tu kabisa, haina shida. Number 4 unaweza tusomea pia kwa Kiingereza, unaweza tuambia number 4 pia point ni gani ndio tuweze pia kuelezea na kufafanua zaidi.
Yeah, okay. So now we have shown you what some of these bacteria and viruses, what they look like. We've talked to you about some of the common symptoms. So remember that we are kind of giving you a very big, broad overview, because if we were to go in specifics, we would have like 10 different videos. But if we were to say what are some of the treatments, so some of the treatments for the bacterial infections, now that's usually different types of antibiotics. And then for the different viral infections, there are various different treatments that you can get. And then importantly, typically those viral medicines, they reduce the amount of virus that you have in your system. But of course, they can't completely get rid of it, but they reduce it so that your body can fight and your body helps you to manage it. So those are some of the common treatments that exist. So that was number 4. Wait, Kimani, are you there? I think you froze. Yeah. Okay, so I think that the team froze a little bit, but I'm sure they will be right back. And we will what we'll do is we will keep going and then they will join us at number 4. Okay, so thing number 5 that we wanted you guys to know about STIs is how do you avoid some of these diseases? Because again, it's easy to tell you all of this, but the question is how do you avoid it? And so there's a couple of things that are really important. I think the first thing is to make sure to use protection if you're sexually active. That's usually the first place you can help yourself, and you can try to minimize these diseases. Because as we've mentioned, they are caused by very specific pathological agents. And so to minimize the spread of those agents, what you do is you use protection while you are having sexual interactions, and that helps to minimize spread. Another thing that can help is if you reduce your sex partners, that makes it less likely that you will spread some of these illnesses. So having fewer sex partners can usually help you manage or minimize the likelihood of finding yourself in contact with these diseases. And then another item is making sure that any new partner that you meet and interact with, that you make sure that they are open and willing to get tested, and destigmatizing the idea of testing, because that's really important, right? Like whenever you meet a new person and you are sexually active, part of that interaction, I strongly recommend, includes like getting tested. That way you have a clean bill of health, and then you minimize getting these diseases. So those are some of the things that help you avoid these illnesses. Okay, so I think now we are at item number 6. Okay, so remember that some of these STIs, they don't always present with certain they don't always present symptoms. So with STIs, and actually, to be honest, with many diseases, sometimes you get an infection and then it lies dormant in your system. So what does this mean? This means that you don't have any symptoms, but you can still spread the disease. You might remember that we learned about this a lot. We learned about this, especially in COVID times. There was this idea of asymptomatic spreaders. I don't know if you remember. And so that's basically someone who has the virus, who has the bacteria, but they don't have symptoms. So I remind you that this is also the case with many STIs. You may not have a symptom, but if you're sexually active, you have many partners, you're not using protection, you can become a carrier of this disease, or some of these diseases, and you may not have yourself symptoms, but you will spread it to your partner. Okay, so let's see. So Kimani says, following comment section. Okay, awesome. Maybe what we'll do is for some of the Kiswahili points, when we are doing the Kikuyu lesson, you can maybe add the Kiswahili there as well, in case anyone's interested. And also, so you remember the Kikuyu lesson is on Thursday. Okay, and then for Tabi, pia kuna mambo watu ongea uongo about STIs. Please utuambie. So please, Tabi, tell me some of the lies that you have heard, and then we can talk about them here today. What I can tell you, some of the lies that I've heard is, I know when HIV was being discussed a long time ago, there was this lie that you can get rid of HIV by having sex with a virgin. That is not the case. You're just going to spread the disease to her or him. So I think what I want you guys to take with you is that these diseases are real. They are caused by very well-defined agents, and that you have to take action against them to protect yourself. And this action can be protecting yourself or making sure to get tested, making sure to be proactive about your health and about your sexual health. And I saw these people that say you can't get diseases with different types of sex. Oral sex, yeah, that's not the case. Anytime you're interacting with somebody and in a sexual way, you can transfer things back and forth. I think that's the point. Any type of sex will transfer an STI. I hope that's clear. And yeah, Tabi, let me know if there's any other myths or any other things that you want clarified. But yeah, literally anytime you're it's kind of like, even if you think about like a respiratory infection, if you have lungs and you have an infection in those lungs and you're coughing, that means any other human with lungs can also get that infection, right? And in the same way, if you have an STI and you are having a sexual interaction with another human, that other human can get the STI, right? So if there's anything I want you guys to hold in this lesson, is that we can spread all sorts of things to each other, right? And these bacteria, these viruses are well defined, they're well understood, and all it requires is an interaction, we will spread, right? So I think that's just a general principle that I would like you guys to hold with you today. And again, this is not, out of fear. This is like out of education and awareness. We want you guys to be aware. Na pia kuhusu kuepuka haya magonjwa. So is that like to heal from them or to, is that what you mean, Kimani? Na pia kuhusu kuepuka, like I think we have that in one of our points. Okay, so we've talked about how STIs don't always present symptoms. Wait, is kuepuka avoid or heal from? Maybe I misunderstood. Let me try. To avoid. Okay, so kuepuka is to avoid. So yeah, it's what we just said. So the way that you avoid these diseases is by making sure to get tested every time you find a new sexual partner, minimizing the number of sexual partners you have, because if you have a lower number of partners, then you have a lower likelihood of getting this disease. And then another one is using protection, and that way you minimize the chance of things spreading back and forth. I think those are the 3 top ways that you can unaweza kuepuka haya magonjwa. Okay, so thing number 7. So this is related to thing number 6. We said that some STIs are dormant, they don't always present infections. And so number 7 is stress and loss of immunity or lowered immunity can cause the virus or the disease to show up again. So that means that sometimes you don't have a symptom, and then all of a sudden you're stressed out or your immune system is struggling, and then these symptoms show up. So that is a possibility. So again, it's not just about always having these raging symptoms all the time right after a sexual interaction. Like there's some time involved and there's some dynamics that are involved there as well. Okay, so Kimani says, yo umesema thank you, watu wakubali kupimwa. Yes, please do. It is part of your health and it is part of being a responsible adult. And that is just part and parcel of living in this world, right? So, and being responsible and taking care of others. So, and also, and most importantly, taking care of yourself. Okay, so item number 8. Now, this has to do with getting tested. So what I wanted to do was to remind you guys that there is no shame in getting tested. Like it is, which is I think what I already just said, is that you just need, like it's part of being a healthy adult to get tested. And so there is no shame, there is no stigma. And if someone is stigmatizing you, don't accept that stigma from them. Like that's their own shame. As far as you're concerned, you are trying to be healthy and you're trying to be responsible for yourself and for your partners or partner. That is part of being a responsible partner, right? So don't accept shame from other people with their own baggage. And then, okay, Kimani says, magonjwa yote yasina sio yote inaonyesha. That's true, that's true, that's true. Okay, so now we're at number 10, I think. So number 10, item number 10, I want to remind you guys that some of these diseases, they're associated with cancer. So I know several of you have asked about cancer. You want to know what are the ways that people get cancer. So there are some of these STIs that are associated with cancer. For example, HPV. So if you remember from the HPV picture we showed you earlier, it is associated with over 300,000 cancer deaths per year. So in 2022, 1.1, and then in 2022, 1.1 million pregnant women were estimated to be infected with syphilis. And this led to over 390,000 adverse birth outcomes. So having these STIs is not just about shame or just like it's just something just obvio. It has specific health implications, right? Beyond just the STI symptom. So like we've just now said, HPV has a relationship to cancer, cervical cancer, I believe. And then syphilis is related to adverse birth outcomes. And this is especially important for people who have multiple partners, or if you are someone who is not being responsible about your sexual health, and maybe you have already a partner. So I'm talking to people who have multiple partners that the other partner doesn't know about. So this is a situation where I've there are many instances where someone will have like a pregnant wife, for example, and he infects her with syphilis, and then they lose their baby, right? And that is an outcome that happens a lot. And so this ties back into this idea of being a responsible adult and being a responsible partner, because there are so many different outcomes that are not just related to the disease itself, right? And so then Kimani says, yeah, hakuna aibu katika kupima. Magonjwa haya ni kama tu mengine, watu wazingatia afya yao ya mwili ndio wapate msaada wanaohitaji. I can't even add anything to that. Yes. Okay, so I think really that's all we had to say. I hope that you guys thought those lessons and the points were interesting. I can put them in the comments if you want, or you can comment on any questions that you might have. We hope to see you on Monday. Also on Monday, we are going to have Neisseria, so that is a Kikuyu show, and it's hosted by Kimani, but I believe on Monday he will invite me on, and our topic will be about vaccines, and specifically, it's true, Elizabeth, it's true. So yeah, so we are going to be talking about, yeah, it's true. There should not be any stigma, and we should all work. So there's about 10 of us on here today, and then there's usually about, I think, 100 or so people that watch this episode throughout the week. So I think our numbers right now are at around 100 people usually for the English lesson. So I want to challenge everyone that's listening today to consider that it is your responsibility to remind your friends, your family, your partners to take responsibility for their health and to support themselves and the people around them, right? Because I think that whenever we have a situation where there's a lot of shame, it's up to us to try and destigmatize the shame around us, right? So if everyone that watches today, and again, I think in our lesson today, we've oscillated from 10 to 30 people. And then I know usually by the end of the week, this lesson reaches around 100 people. So if everyone can take the chance and the responsibility to tell one person, whether it's your friend, your best friend, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your neighbor, somebody, remind them that there is no shame in getting tested, and that there is no shame in taking responsibility for your own health. If you can do that to one person, if all 100 of us can do that with one person, I think we can slowly make an impact and try and destigmatize the shame. Let's see. So some people have shown up. Okay, so yes, Elizabeth. And then Steph. Oh, Steph, hi. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. You guys, Stephanie runs a non-profit in Nairobi called Under the Microscope, and it is a science communication non-profit. She and her whole team have played a really big part in me being able to continue science communication and even to be interested in science communication. And Stephanie was there throughout my whole PhD to like support and encourage and inspire me to continue thinking about how science is so important to our society. Because I think one thing about being an academic scientist is sometimes you're so focused at working in the lab, and you focus on your results and your papers and the outcomes that are related to your work. And sometimes you forget about the fact that like we also have this really deep teaching responsibility. And I think I know that Stephanie was a really big part of that process for me. And she's a big part of how I'm even here today. Like she's always been really supportive, especially because she's a Kenyan scientist who has a degree in microbiology and who has been really involved in the public engagement of science sphere in Kenya. And she's been really supportive of my work here and of all of my efforts. And I am just so grateful to her work. And I'm doubly grateful that she's here with us to say hello. So hi, Stephanie. And then Elizabeth, na pia wengine hawezi ongea kuhusu haya magonjwa. Yes, so that's why I'm telling you guys again, usually my English lesson reaches 100 people. So those 100 people, please, if you can take the resources that we're giving you here, feel free to email us and reach out to us so that you develop your own ability to talk about these diseases without shame and with knowledge, and that you know which resources to find. That is literally why we are here, you guys. So if all 100 of us can take the chance to learn about these diseases, develop our awareness and our understanding, and then be comfortable talking about it with our neighbors, you guys, we can make an impact. So I challenge you guys in that way, including you, Elizabeth. I encourage everyone here today and everyone who will be watching this episode. True, watu wakubali that pia hii ni ugonjwa kama yale magonjwa mengine. Thank you guys for this. You're very welcome. And then na pia kuna dina ya team TAUKIRWO. That's true. So we are going to announce, put up another announcement next week. But if you guys have been on the Facebook platform, you know that we are going to have a dinner stroke tea stroke hangout session where we will talk about the year that we've had this year, and we'll talk about some of the progress that we have made, and we want to hear from you guys about what you want in the new year. We are interested in getting feedback from you guys, because if you notice, we have spent a lot of time making sure that everyone has their voice is heard, and we want to keep doing that, and we want to keep making sure that you guys, Team TAUKIRWO, is part of our work, if that makes sense, because we are all learning. All of us are here to learn. This is a learning space, so we want to make sure that you guys have your voices heard, and we also want to appreciate you guys. So for our the top 10 fans, you're going to get an email in your inbox, because we'd like to buy you guys some tea. And we'd also maybe, I think, help you guys with the airtime, because I understand you guys, you spend your airtime to listen to us, and I'm just so grateful. So we're gonna do that for, I think, our top 10, and then we're going to have a raffle for some more people so that we can support you guys to be with us. And we appreciate you guys. We thank you so much for your support and for your encouragement and for your questions. And I think with that, I think I'm now at my hour point, so I think I'm going to head out. But I will see you guys on Monday. So again, on Monday, I believe we are talking about, I think we're talking about the vaccine, these cow vaccines. I think we're going to have a short conversation about foot and mouth disease, and I think we might also talk about carbon credits a little bit. And then we will talk about, I think that's where we're going to stand. But it's a discussion show, so that's led by Kimani. I will leave him to announce that, but I think it's like a general discussion show. I hope you guys liked the last Neisseria Koguna. On that lesson, Kimani talked about fruits and fruit juices and the fact that fruits contain antioxidants that are essential for our cells, to make sure that our cells are healthy. He talked about the fact that many cells, much of cellular metabolism results in chemicals called free radicals, and antioxidants help to neutralize those free radicals so that they don't cause damage in our cells. And that is basically why we are supposed to eat fruit. That's part of why we are supposed to eat healthy, is to minimize the production of some of these metabolites that are unhealthy or that destroy our cells, basically. And so that's what Kimani Emmah spoke about on Monday. I hope you guys will get a chance to go listen, leave some comments, leave some questions. I think the aim of Neisseria Koguna is just to talk about things that he has been thinking about, or members of the team have been thinking about, and we are hoping that in that way we can expand some of our topics. Someone had asked us to please have more topics, and so it's hard for us to have more topics, but I think with Neisseria Koguna we can start to expand our topics, because we want to make sure to include what you guys care about. Oh, I see that there's lots of comments. So yes, Elizabeth, there's dinner. I hope that you guys will show up. And then Maggie, wow, thank you. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for this. We are glad you're here. I've learned a lot. Keep going. Thank you so much, Maggie. We appreciate you. We appreciate you guys right back. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your support. And thank you, we appreciate. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you guys. Monday nitakuwa tuned. Yes, please be there. Come with your questions. You guys, please don't ever for 1 second feel like you can't ask a question. Here, there is no such thing as an unacceptable question, as long as we respect each other. And of course, we have really respectful audience, so I'm not concerned about that part. So please feel free to ask any science questions, and if we don't know it, I have no problem telling you I don't know it. I will look it up. So Monday nitakuwa tuned. We will see you there. Can you John? I like today's shows, both language iko sawa. Excellent. I like how you did today, ilikuwa more educative. Thank you. I am glad that that was your observation. We will keep at it. Hiyo ya Monday topic itakuwa gani? So Monday is a show that's run by Kimani wa Emmah. It's called Neisseria, and he is going to be speaking about some of the things that so typically he talks about things that he's seen online, and then he wants to expand the topic, and then he wants sometimes to do some research about the topic. So I believe he is going to be speaking about vaccines, and specifically he'll be talking about the cow vaccines, and I think he wants to talk about vaccines in general. And then he had said he wanted to talk about this chemical in animal feed that is supposed to reduce the amount of methane in the environment, and so he had some questions about that. So I think that's what we're going to talk about, John. We hope that you will be with us. So I think that's what we're going to talk about. So it's a less formal talk structure, but we pick something that has been going around huku kwa mtandao, and then we kind of expand on it. So he talked about fruits because he saw something about fruit, and now he's talking about vaccines because he saw on social media about vaccines and this methane and cows and that. So that's the topic. I hope that answered the question. Okay, kindly update us topics za December. Okay, so topics za December ziko. So I don't have the paper with me, but let me pull it up. I have my phone for my notes. Okay, so on 12/14, which is next week, we are talking about epilepsy. And then on 12/21, somebody asked what is a hermaphrodite. So we are going to talk a little bit about that. And then on 12/28, somebody asked about cerebral palsy. So those are our topics for December. Okay. So hope mtakuwa live huku. I guess we can try and hop on here. Typically we are always live on Facebook. And then sometimes we can try and come on live on YouTube if you guys like. So yeah, if you guys want us on YouTube, we will be on YouTube. And Wanjiva, I love how you're representing this. Wengine matoheaga matohoho. Thank you. I am grateful. I am grateful that you thought this was useful. Kwanza hiyo vaccines wanasema ya kuzuia ng'ombe kunyamba. Hope niyo. Yeah, so the thing is, okay, the way I understand it, kuna mambo mawili. Kitu cha kwanza ni hii vaccine ya foot and mouth disease. So that's the vaccine. And I think foot and mouth disease, if I'm not wrong, is caused by a virus. So that's the first thing. That's the vaccine that is being said that it's supposed to give to the cows. Then kuna kitu hii ingine, there is this compound that's being added to irioshia ng'ombe, to cow feed. And that compound, what it does is it binds to a protein that's in a type of bacteria in the cow's stomach. And now that protein that is attached to that compound, that protein, its job is to produce methane. So what happens is that compound that is in the cow feed is supposed to minimize the total methane that's produced by that cow. There are many thoughts about that. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about that whole concept, what it means, whether it's valid. Yeah, so that's what we're going to discuss. So yeah, so those are the two things. I think the vaccine is different from the cow's kunyamba. Those are like two separate things, and I think that they address two different issues. Issue number one is this hoof, foot, and mouth disease, and then issue number two is this methane and carbon emissions and greenhouse gases and climate change. So two issues. Nitakuwa tunda here. Where is the problem with Kaunyamba? I saw Madam. It's a complicated topic, you know. It's like, I think if I remember right, the lady that was on that show, she's a cow farmer, so her emphasis is on her cows, and her questions are valid. There were some other things that I thought the biology was a bit off, but I think her questions are legitimate. It's just that you're right. There was a mixture of things in that interview, but I think that in some, I think there were many important things that she brought up, even if some of the biology was a bit incorrect or a bit inconsistent with how biologists think about these concepts. And remember, biologists think about these concepts based on experiments that have been done and based on hypotheses that have been developed. And so when you speak against that without evidence, it's a bit confusing. So I think that's what I saw in terms of the matohoho. It was some of the biology, but in terms of the bigger concerns of what does it mean to minimize methane? What does it mean? Like, what proportion of methane is produced by cows compared to other industrial sources? Those concerns, they are valid, they're legit. We will talk about them. I will do my best. As we all know, my Kikuyu is a work in progress, so I'm working hard to practice so that I can be able to have a useful dialogue. But that's led by Kimani Emmah. So yeah, I hope to see you guys there. Okay, so awesome. Thank you. We are so glad that you're here. Nitakuwa tuned. We will see you there. And great. I am so happy that you guys, I'm really glad that you guys are here. Thank you. Okay, is it helpful to animals? What is it? Is it the compound for reducing methane or the vaccine? What do you, because again, I think there are two issues. There is the vaccine, which is supposed to be, and if you guys remember, we've talked about vaccines on here. Vaccines are supposed to help minimize the severity of disease. Every time that we interact with a disease, there is two outcomes. Your body can fight with that disease. That may or may not be successful, or you can get a vaccine to help your body fight the disease, which is usually helpful. There are some side effects sometimes, but generally it's a risk analysis usually. So anyway, so there are two topics. There is a topic of the vaccine against the foot and mouth. Then there's the issue of this feed and the compound that's in the feed to minimize methane. So Deno, what do you mean? John K, you're following. Glad you're here. Thank you. Hii topic, we need to hear about it with facts, not guessing, and we believe utasaidia wengi kuelewa. Thank you. I will do my best. I mean, remember, I am a teacher, so what I can do is I can explain. This is the compound, this is what it looks like, this is where it binds. These are some of the experiments that have been done to tell us that it minimizes the production of methane. And then I can tell you that this is what the data suggests about how much methane is produced by cows. That's what I can tell you. I cannot tell you that it is a wise idea or an unwise idea. But what I can tell you is that this is the proportion of methane that's made by cows. So the question becomes, is that proportion significant enough to warrant feeding these cows with this compound? And I'm not sure that that's a question I have an answer for right now. One thing I can tell you, John, about me is I usually will leave you guys with a lot of questions. In my work is, I'm a bench scientist, so the work is driven by questions. I'm always asking questions, sometimes too much, but I'm always asking questions. So I don't want to promise you that I can give you a nice answer. What I can do is I can give you, this information that has been peer reviewed, and I can tell you some of the questions that maybe exist, and we can answer some of the questions that you might have, but you might leave with more questions. So just keep in mind that I'm not able to answer everything, but we can answer some of the things and be left with some of the questions, and maybe someone can join us in our comments with answers. So I don't ever want anyone to think that I have like this package deal with all these answers. I don't. In fact, I will probably leave you with more questions. But we'll do what we can. Teno following, glad you're here. Jibi Mashaya, tunataka tuelewe vizuri. Thank you. Yes, we will do what we can to make sure that you understand the facts and the details. Whether or not you will leave with a nice answer in a bow, I don't know. Is the vaccine helpful to animals? I will look at some of the data, but what I can tell you is generally vaccines are helpful, right? Because what are vaccines for? Vaccines are for minimizing risk related to diseases. That's what vaccines are for. They're not for preventing you to get the disease, because that's outside of anyone's control, right? So a vaccine is a preventative measure to minimize risk due to the disease. Because every time that you encounter a disease, or your cows or your chickens or your pigs or your goats, every time a living entity, a living organism interacts with a disease, the response may or may not be productive. It may or may not lead to survival. There are all of these different nuances, and you can overcome the disease but end up with long-term complications. So it's never so linear. So a vaccine is usually preventative. There are some side effects related to vaccines, that's true, but it's like I said earlier, mambo ya vaccines is usually a risk analysis. The analysis becomes, what is the risk of this vaccine? What is the risk of this disease? Those are some of the questions. So is the vaccine helpful to animals? Generally, they're helpful. This specific vaccine, I'm not sure. I will read about it and I can tell you what I read about on Monday. And Deno, you were asking about methane. So Deno asked, is it helpful to animals? Is methane helpful to animals? So it is a product of their processes. So I don't know if I can tell you helpful or hurtful. It just is. It's a product of their biological processes. So yeah, anyway, I hope I'll see you guys on Monday. I'm really grateful that you guys tuned in today. I hope that you took... Oh, Kimani is back. Okay, so he texted to say stima zilipotea, but Kimani is back. Monday we'll discuss about vaccines from 4 p.m. Okay, yeah, that's our topic. Thank you, Kimani Emmah, for being here. Thank you, Cathy K, official, for being here. Thank you, all the people that listen to us and ask questions and sent us messages. We appreciate you guys, and we don't take any of your support, your encouragement, your words. We don't take any of that for granted. We will see you guys on Monday to chit-chat about vaccines, and specifically the cow vaccines. We hope that you will join us with your questions. If I have the direct answers, I will tell you about them. If I don't, I will research them and update you. I'm hoping that we can at least just have a chat about the basic biology of the vaccines and the basic biology of this feed additive that minimizes methane production. I'm a basic biology person, so you'll just get basic biology about those topics, and we will see where we end up. Okay. Bye, guys. Have a good evening, and I will see you guys. I think I've said I'll see you like 4 times. I think I'm just gonna go. Bye.
Mogi ni mutare leu tabarĩra ya taũkĩrwo nĩrĩkĩtie gũkinya hakuja leu tũnyamũ twĩ muoyo nĩũkĩte nĩ ta andũ akwe ũtaũkĩrwo makĩria ũhoro wĩgiĩ mĩrimũ therũ na ciũmbe nini iritũnĩkaga na maitho nĩcio cells and microbes na rũthiomi rwa Gĩkũyũ ũtaũkwo na njĩra nyandandũku. Nyitanagĩra na Mutaaramu Grace Gĩbũi oro mũthenya wa Saturday agĩgũtirithia kũmenya morutani maingĩ megiĩ therũ, mĩrimũ na njĩra ndikĩru. Kũhoro makĩria kana kĩũria wĩna kĩo no ũtwarĩrie kũhetũkĩra kũrĩa kwa Ũgĩ Media Facebook page ona kana Facebook page ya tũnyamũ twĩ muoyo. Ndũkahatũkwo ũkothome makĩria no taũkĩrwo kũna.